Chapter 4, Indonesia. Lessons for an EHM. To prepare for my upcoming assignment and better understand my role as an economic hitman, I immersed myself in literature about Indonesia. I deeply internalized Claudine's advice. The more you know about a country before you get there, the easier your job will be. History shows that when Christopher Columbus embarked on his historic voyage in 1492, his true destination was Indonesia, then famously referred to as the Spice Islands. Throughout the era of European colonialism, this region was considered a far greater prize than the Americas. Java, renowned for its luxurious textiles, legendary spice trade, and wealthy empires, served as the ultimate prize and a bloody battleground for competing British, Dutch, Portuguese, and Spanish forces. Although the Netherlands established dominant control by 1750, it took them an additional century and a half to fully subjugate the outer islands of the archipelago. When Japan invaded during the Second World War, Dutch colonial forces collapsed with minimal resistance, leaving the local population, particularly the Javanese, to endure severe hardships. In the wake of Japan's eventual defeat, the charismatic leader Sukarno stepped forward to proclaim the nation's independence. Following 4 years of fierce revolutionary conflict, the Dutch finally lowered their flag on December 27, 1949, restoring sovereignty to a population that had endured over 3 centuries of foreign subjugation and conflict. Sukarno assumed office as the first president of the newly formed republic. Governing the massive archipelago, however, proved far more complex than winning the War of Independence. Comprising roughly 17,500 islands, Indonesia was a fractured mosaic of distinct cultures, tribal identities, dozens of unique languages, and long-standing ethnic rivalries. As internal conflicts turned frequent and violent, Sukarno chose to rule with an iron fist. He dissolved parliament in 1960 and declared himself president for life in 1963. To secure heavy weaponry and military training, he forged strategic pacts with global communist regimes. He even deployed Soviet-armed Indonesian troops into neighboring Malaysia in a bid to project regional socialist influence and gain favor with global leftist leaders. This aggressive governance fueled deep domestic opposition, culminating in a violent coup attempt in 1965. While Sukarno narrowly survived assassination due to the quick thinking of his mistress, many of his closest political allies and top military officials were executed. The geopolitical shifts closely mirrored the 1953 overthrow of the government in Iran. Ultimately, the Indonesian Communist Party, particularly factions linked to Beijing, was blamed for the uprising. In the brutal, military-led purges that followed, between 300,000 and 500,000 people were systematically slaughtered. By 1968, the head of the armed forces, General Suharto, officially seized the presidency. By 1971, Washington's urgency to pull Indonesia into the Western orbit intensified as American prospects in the Vietnam War deteriorated. President Nixon had initiated troop drawdowns in the summer of 1969, forcing US foreign policy to pivot toward a broader global strategy. This new approach aimed to halt the domino effect of nations falling to communism across Southeast Asia, with Indonesia serving as the crucial geopolitical linchpin. It was within this high-stakes containment strategy that Mayen's massive electrification project was launched, acting as a vital mechanism to cement American influence and control in the region. Foreign strategy operated on the assumption that Suharto could be leveraged by Washington, much like the Shah of Iran. United States officials envisioned Indonesia as a regional template, banking on the idea that geopolitical success there would ripple positively through the broader Muslim world, especially across the volatile Middle East. Beyond these strategic calculations lay the allure of Indonesian petroleum. Though the exact scale and grade of the reserves remained unverified, seismic data had triggered intense optimism among oil executives. Researching these dynamics at the Boston Public Library, my anticipation deepened as I envisioned the upcoming assignment. Joining Mayen meant swapping the Spartan realities of the Peace Corps for an existence defined by luxury and prestige. Furthermore, my interactions with Claudine felt like a fantasy brought to life, offering a sense of personal validation after my restrictive years at an all-boys preparatory academy. Simultaneously, my marriage to Anne was deteriorating into constant arguments. She frequently pointed out how much I had altered, noting that I no longer resembled the partner she had married and worked alongside in Ecuador. Reflecting on that period, she likely detected the double life I was constructing. To rationalize my actions, I clung to lingering bitterness over feeling pressured into the marriage, unfairly viewing her support during our Peace Corps stint as just another instance of yielding to my parents' expectations. Anne almost certainly suspected infidelity, and we eventually established separate residences. In 1971, roughly a week before my scheduled flight to Indonesia, I visited Claudine's apartment. She had arranged a spread of bread, cheese, and Beaujolais wine. Raising a glass, she offered a toast, declaring that I had successfully integrated into their circle, though her smile carried a hollow quality. After 30 minutes of casual conversation, her demeanor shifted sharply as the wine ran low. In a severe tone I had never heard from her before, she commanded me never to disclose our interactions, warning that she would entirely disavow our acquaintance and that breaking silence would put my safety at risk. Though shaken by the implicit threat and her chilling laughter, my walk back to the Prudential Center brought a sense of clarity regarding the precision of the operation. By confining all contact to her private residence, she ensured no physical evidence existed, keeping May N entirely insulated from our connection.